Yesterday we left off with talking about tire inflation. Obviously, because our tires are pneumatic and we fill them with air, we're going to pressurize them. What do we pressurize it to? How do we know? Okay, again, on the sidewall of the tire, where we would have identifying features of the tire, like what we just talked about, the manufacturer, and a bunch of other things that we haven't yet talked about, it's also going to have the maximum inflated pressure rating for that tire. But because whoever the manufacturer is doesn't know what vehicle it's going to go on, it just gives you a generic number saying, hey, whatever wheel you put this on, okay, this is as high as you want to go before bad things happen. It is not what you want to obviously leave the inflation at as you are driving down the road. Okay, so where we find that where we find the proper manufactured recommended specifications for the pressure is through the vehicle manufacturer. Ford, Toyota, Honda, whatever that may end up being. This is a pretty generic area of where it's located. A sticker that looks like this. It's usually on the B pillar of the driver's side part of the vehicle. Okay, now it's not always there, but 90% of the time that's where you're going to find it. Okay, on some older vehicles, it had a different design. Okay, it might be on the driver's side door. Sometimes it could be on the passenger side B pillar. All right, it kind of depends. At this point in time in 2025, though, it's pretty universal in terms of what it looks like. Each manufacturer, okay, has it like this because we try to standardize that. So that way, regardless of what vehicle you purchase or use or drive, it's all in the same spot, contains all the same information, right? Just like if I hopped into an F-150, I know when I'm driving, if I want to turn my left blinker on, I pull my turn signal down. That's universal. If I want to turn right, turn the turn signal, I pull it up. That's universal. Because it doesn't matter what vehicle you get in, we want you to have kind of the same concept so you don't have to relearn different manufacturers. Okay, it's for the driver and the user. Same concept here. Okay, so as I'm getting into this, you can see very clearly here that I've got a front tires and I've got my rear tires. It tells me the type of tire I should have on that vehicle, right? So if I'm going to go purchase new tires and I don't necessarily know what came stock or what the manufacturer is expecting to have on that vehicle, I can look on this placard. It's a P235/60R17.
XL.
Okay, it's an XL, yes. We'll get into that later. Okay, so it's a passenger tire, 235 millimeters wide, 60% aspect ratio. It's a radial tire for a 17-inch rim. Boom. Okay, so I know how that works. Now, it also tells me the cold tire pressure inflation for that front tire. That manufacturer wants it at 29 pounds per square inch. Okay, or 200 kilopascals, depending on which unit of measurement you're using. In the United States, we use PSI. What does cold tire pressure mean?
Tire pressure when it's cold.
Correct. What does that mean?
What it'll go down to when it's a cold tire.
No.
What's cold?
The air.
The
The
rubber.
tire's cold, not the environment.
The rubber.
Right? It's not like you're going to make a measurement in January when it's negative 20 degrees outside. Nope, that's cold tire pressure. Okay? Because what happens in July when it's 80, 90 degrees outside? That's not very cold. Okay? What it's trying to get at is cold tire pressure, meaning that the tire has not been driven on. You are checking it before being driven on. Okay? So first thing in the morning, you start up your car, right? Before you start driving down the road, check the tire pressure. You want that at 29 psi. Okay? Why do I want to check my tire pressure when it's cold, the tire is cold, and not after driving it for so many miles? Okay, the tire heats up. Okay? When the air inside the tire heats up, it expands. What happens to my pressure?
It rises.
It goes up. Okay, so the expectation is that the pressure is going up in my tire as I'm driving it. This is the reason why you do not fill your tire up to that maximum PSI that's on the sidewall of the tire. 44 PSI. If I had that 44 PSI and I check it while it's cold, and all of a sudden now I'm driving down Highway 41,
Boom.
what's going to happen? Pressure's going to go up because we're heating up the tire. Now I'm exceeding that pressure rating. Bad things can happen. Okay? So that's the logic behind it. That's the scientific principles behind this. That's why we follow this. Okay? Keep in mind too that sometimes, not always, sometimes your rear tire pressure might be different than your front tire pressure. Don't just assume that whatever's in the front is also in the back. Sometimes you can also understand that rarely, not all the time, but you might actually have a different size tire in the rear than you have in the front.
Drag slicks.
Okay? It depends on what the manufacturer has set up, tested, and wants out of their vehicle to maximize efficiency and the qualities of that vehicle. Okay? So follow what the very, very smart people are trying to tell you based off of tire and loading information on this sticker. Okay? That's kind of universal on that regards. Okay, the Uniform Tire Quality Grading System. We gave you that acronym yesterday, UNQG. UNQG, again, uniform tire grading, meaning that it doesn't matter the manufacturer of the tire, Goodyear, Firestone, Bridgestone, Kumho, whatever that may end up being, Pirelli, okay? This is going to be universal across the board, just like how our sticker is across the board on manufacturers. There's 3 T's that are going to identify the uniform tire quality grading, okay? First part is our tread wear. That's the first T. We then have our traction rating, and then we have our temperature resistance. Tread wear, traction, temperature. 3 T's. And this is going to give you a comparison from one tire to another. Hey, I've got these Bridgestone tires. How do they compare to a Goodyear? Well, they're different manufacturers, different technologies, different production, you know, all that sort of stuff. Uniform tire quality grading goes in, they rate it, they stamp it with a particular number or letter as an indication of what the expected performance is for that tire in these 3 categories. Okay? So if I have tread wear, we're going to probably see a number between 1 to 600. Okay? That's the range. Traction, A, B, C. Actually, it could be double A, B, or C. And then we got our temperature, which is also an A, B, C. That's how those are rated. Okay? And you can actually see here, this is what it would potentially look like on the sidewall of a tire. Every tire's got it. You can go out to your car right now and find this rating and see what your tires are according to the Uniform Tire Quality Grading System. Now in this case, the tread wear is 280, the traction is A, and the temperature rating is A. Okay, what does those numbers mean? Well, the tread wear is obviously going to be how long is that tread going to last? Okay, is it going to last for 50,000 miles expected, 70,000 miles, or 100,000 miles?
280,000 miles.
Okay, but probably not that high. I have not seen a tire that is rated for that amount
What
of
does
mileage.
280 stand for?
Okay. It's just a relative number. Okay, the higher the number, the longer the tread life is expected to last. Obviously, it's not a guarantee, but if I had a tread wear on a tire that says 600, and I compare it to another tire that has 200, my expectation is that the 600 rated tread wear tire is going to last longer than the 200 tread wear tire.
But
Does that make sense?
the traction might be A and B.
Right? So that's not my only comparison point. Okay. Keep in mind too that if my tread wear is at 200 instead of 600, I'm trading off my tread wear life for potentially better gripping.
Or gas.
All right, a softer treaded tire, which means maybe again depending on my application, Chase, put the phone away. Thank you. If I'm going out on the Road America for a race day, right, I don't want a tread wear that's going to be 600 because I want more grip. I don't care about it lasting 100,000 miles because I'm trying to get the fastest track time. So I want the most grip. Okay, and probably by the end of that day, that tire might be shot, depending on how hard I run that. Okay, but that's the trade-off. But I can compare the two then. And I can ask myself, well, what do I want out of the tire? Okay, again, traction, AA, A, B, or C, the higher that rating, the more traction it is expected to get on that tire. Hey, I'm looking for a winter tire that's going to be good on snow and ice and slush. Awesome. I want a AA traction rated tire. Okay, amongst a few other things that we're going to take a look at. Okay, again, temperature resistance as well. A, B, or C. A is going to be its ability to resist temperature change greater. Hey, I'm going to be living in Nevada. I'm driving through a desert all day long. It gets super hot. I want a tire that's going to obviously universally resist higher temperatures better. Okay? So again, all this sort of stuff dictates choices in terms of what the tire can offer you for driving. Okay? Now, the manufacturers might not necessarily dictate to you what you expect on these. That is more up to the consumer. Whoops. You guys all right over there?
We're chilling.
Yeah. All right, so again, here's kind of the idea of what that might look like on my sidewall.
That's a pretty good tire there.
Okay, so is a treadwear 520? Well, it depends on what you consider good, right? If I want high treadwear or my treadwear to last, yeah, it's excellent. Traction's excellent, temperature's excellent,
So yeah,
right?
it's a good tire.
So yeah, but again, if I'm out on the racetrack, maybe I don't want 520.
Maybe you want 600.
Okay, maybe you want like 200, 100. Okay, maybe I want to get some heat into those tires. Okay, in addition to the uniform tire quality grading system and other identifying parts of this, again, passenger tire, 185 millimeters wide, 75% aspect ratio so I can know the height of the sidewall, a radial tire, 14-inch rim, but then I'm going to have, whoops, can I go back? I'm going to have a couple other parts of my rating system or communication regarding performance of my tire. Okay, so in this example, it's 82S. The number 82 is going to be its load rating. All right. Again, think about this. If I have an F250 and I've got however many pounds in the back of my dump truck or into my bed, I want to make sure that my tires are able to support and hold that weight to go down the road. It's a load rating. If I'm running in a cute little Chevy Spark, right? That vehicle's not designed to hold a lot of weight. Okay? So the load rating on that's going to be much, much different. So something to pay attention to again when you're purchasing a vehicle or purchasing tires for your vehicle is the load rating. Equally important is going to be your speed rating. Most people don't look at this, but tires are going around in a circle. They're rotating at high velocity speeds. Right? If I'm going 70 miles an hour, there's a lot of centrifugal force acting on that tire. I'm going to assume for a second you guys know what centrifugal force is.
Yeah.
Okay, right? The tire is wanting to get pulled apart because it's spinning. And the faster that tire spins, the more centrifugal force you're going to enact on that tire.
Is that why with like
Okay.
RC cars,
I know.
if you hold them up and
Yes,
hit it, they like go really big and shoot back in?
correct. Right? Now, if I'm running a vehicle at 70 miles an hour on Highway 41, right, I want to make sure that my tire is able to hold together for those speeds. Right? If I buy a tire that's only rated for 35 miles an hour and I go on Highway 41, what's going to happen to that tire?
Probably not.
Explode.
It's going to literally pull itself apart because it's not designed or built for that kind of speed. right? If I own a Bugatti and I am able to go 250 miles an hour, obviously not legally on any road in Wisconsin,
Yeah,
but if I took it out to a track
Tony
and I go 250 miles an hour, is my typical street tire
No.
that's ready to go 100 miles an hour good enough for that vehicle
No.
at those speeds? Absolutely not. Okay? So I can't just slap any old tire on my Bugatti and then slam the accelerator down on the floor and expect to go where I'm going.
Gatsky, what color is your Bugatti?
This is the reason why a set of tires for a Bugatti costs $25,000
Really?
for 4 tires. Really. Because they have to be handmade. You can't make them on a machine. Alright? Because of the speed rating on it. Anyways, speed rating is kind of one of these weird things. Obviously, you would think A to Z, that's usually the number, or the letters that we're looking at. But they do skip some letters, and some letters aren't always in alphabetical order. But the lower the number, or excuse me, the lower the letter in the alphabet, the higher the rating for the speed is typically. Okay? So for instance, if I want the highest rated speed rating for my tires, I'm probably going to be getting a Y tire. A Y rated tire.
Why not a Z?
Okay? You won't be able to afford it. Okay? Now, it is always better to get a tire that has a higher speed rating than what you are anticipating to travel in the vehicle. If I'm looking at traveling max 70 to 80 miles per hour, I might want to get a tire that's rated for 120 miles per hour. Not with the expectation that I can now go 120 miles an hour, but I know now that if I'm going 70 to 80 miles an hour, I'm within the rating for that tire, and I know I'm good. Okay? So just FYI on that. Again, B to Z typical, 31 miles per hour to 149 miles an hour. And again, if you look on the sidewall of a tire, we've got a ton of different things that are communicating to the people that should be purchasing it, and you should know what this stuff is. Okay? And part of the education is understanding what this stuff is. Okay? Alright, Tech A says tire markings on the sidewall of a tire give information about the tire load carrying ability. Tech B says tire markings on the sidewall of a tire provide the maximum recommended inflation pressure. Who is right?
Shut up. I'm sorry, that's
That was me.
I'm a very mean guy.
that wasn't. I'll make it up to you when I go to your work. I'll come get you in McQueen.
Boy wasted. Oh yeah.
Work at A's getting.
Let me get everybody, I got everybody in the front row.
Right.
We get everybody- Oh, Emerson, I got you. Nice job. Get that colored in, Brandon, I got you.
Eddie, can I color it?
Mason, I got you.
Love.
You get,
Huh?
Chase, I got you. Gavin, I got you too. You good? Everyone's good?
Can I use the bathroom?
I don't know.
Whoa,
Can
whoa,
you-
whoa. Sorry.
Do you need this?
I think I can. Once he accepts my password.
That's not right. I gotta change the answer. The correct answer is Tech A. What is
What?
what is the maximum recommended inflation pressure on the tire?
On the door.
On the door,
Oh. I was talking about like.
right? The maximum inflation pressure is on the sidewall, not the maximum recommended tire pressure.
I don't know.
Damn.
There you go, Tech A. Tech A. Most of you guys selected both Tech A and B. I can understand why that would be confusing. Okay, but we have to make sure that we understand the recommended, maximum recommended inflation pressure is on that door placard. Okay? The maximum the tire is able to handle, typically for just storage and when we install the tire onto the wheel, we have to inject air into the tire to be able to seat the bead against that wheel flange. Okay, we don't want to exceed the maximum pressure rating of the tire, which is typically 44. Okay, we don't want to go above that when we're installing the tire. That's mainly the reason why that's there.
That's why you just use 5. It's so much easier.
No.
Yes.
Okay, this is going to get a little confusing, but we're going to talk about the date of the tire manufacturer. Okay? Yes, Chase, I'll get it.
Thank you.
Make sure you hit the play button.
Yeah.
You can go up to any tire and you can find out when that tire was manufactured. Okay, this is important because if you go out to buy a tire and you're buying brand new tires, right? You can check the date on when those were manufactured. Obviously, if that was manufactured 8 years ago, those are probably not brand new tires, even though they look brand new. Okay. Now, here's a couple things. There's 2 different ways that you can see this, or there's, I should say, 2 styles of manufacturing dates. If the tire was produced or made before the year 2000, you're going to look for a 3-digit number on the tire. Okay, if it was produced before the year 2000, it's going to be a 3-digit date. Okay. If the tire was manufactured after the year 2000, which by the way is most of the tires you're going to encounter, it's going to be a 4-digit date. Okay? So 3-digit date is prior to the year 2000, 4 is after 2000. Again, most of your tires you're going to encounter nowadays is going to be the 4-digit style. But I'm still going to I'm going to teach you how to read an older tire, because it is a slightly different than how you would read a newer tire. Okay? So, since 2000, the week and the year the tire was produced has been provided by the last 4 digits of the tire identification number, with the 2 digits being used to identify the week immediately preceding the 2 digits used to identify the year. What does that mean? All right, let's take a look at this example. Here is my manufacturing date. All right, I'm going to write it up here, 5107. Just so that way it's easy for everyone to see, because I know in the back it might not be. Okay? Now, we've got 4 digits. We've got the first 2 and we got the last 2. What this means is this tire was produced in the 51st week of the year 2007. Okay, that's what that means. 51st week of the year 2007.
So that'd be
Yeah, what would that be?
January, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September.
51st week. How many weeks are in a year?
I don't know.
Oh, 62.
At least 4.
A solid 7.
At least 2 weeks in a year. At least.
At least.
What is the 51st year?
What?
What?
What is the 51st week of the year?
It would be December 7th,
December,
the week of December 7th.
basically the week of Christmas, yeah. But I think there's 52 weeks in a year.
Right now, December 14th.
So
How
this
many
particular
weeks are
tire
in
was
a year?
produced in the latter half of December in the year
There's
2007.
52.18 weeks in a
Yes.
year.
So 51st week, it's basically the week of Christmas.
I'm trying to find
Okay.
I was right.
So that's what that means. Week, year.
I can't find it.
All right.
That's it.
All right, next. If the tire was manufactured prior to the year 2000, again, we're going to be dealing with a 3-digit number. And again, if I were to write on here, there it is. So in this case, it's 408. Okay? So it's a 3-digit number. This is a slightly different setup. We've got the first 2, and then we've got the last one. It's a single digit. Guess what the first 2 means?
Week.
The week it was produced. That does not change.
And then it's the 8th year of the decade.
Yes, based off of this, right? This is going to be the number of the year in the decade that it was produced.
How many years in the decade?
10.
So it would be
So this number can go from 0 to 9. All right?
But then, so that can be made in like.
This could be made in 1998. It could be made in 1988. It could be manufactured in 1978.
1998.
Okay? Well, we can't assume that necessarily, but here's the deal. Before the year 2000, tires were not expected to last more than 10 years. Okay, so if you bought a brand new set of tires
July.
and it was 1992 and it's had an 8, it was 1988 that it was produced. Okay? When 1998 rolled around, yeah, you have an 8 again, but any of the tires that you were purchasing, it was not expected that you would find something from 1988 because they typically dry rotted and they were garbage. Okay, even if they were brand new. So just something to kind of keep in mind. It was a different process because we had different technology, and the manufacturing process was not as evolved as it is today. Now, I could have a brand new set of tires that sit on my shelf for 12 years, and they're perfectly fine still to potentially throw on my vehicle. Obviously, depending on what my expectations are for my vehicle. Okay? But that's the idea behind the 3-digit code for the date and the 4-digit code for the date. You are expected to know what that is because I will be testing you on it. Okay? All right, getting into this even more. Easton, you are a bane to my existence. Please stop. You make my job harder.
You may.
Okay.
Whoa.
We talked about tire identification, whether it's a passenger tire, how wide it is, the sidewall height based off of the aspect ratio. We talked about the construction of the tire. We talked about the rim size, the loads, and the speed rating. We talked about the potential for temperature and traction and tread wear, okay? All this information. Additionally, the treads on the tire are designed to be able to provide that traction as you are going down the road in multiple different driving scenarios. Again, I, as a manufacturer of a tire company, have to make sure that my tire is good in snow, rain, ice, sleet, dry, hot, cold, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to invest in technology to design my tire so as it is rolling, it is able to grip the road, remove water, ice, sleet, snow out of the way so I get traction. Okay? Tread design is kind of one of the most craziest thing on the planet. Now, some of those treads, most of the treads I should say, are of a symmetrical design. Okay, does anyone know what symmetry means? Okay, the left side is the same as the right side. Okay, if I were to draw a human face, like that. That dude has seen some stuff, okay? Symmetry. If I were to draw a line right down the middle, left side is the same as the right side, or at least you hope that it is. Okay? And if you're not, you're probably not going to get very good luck with trying to find some to go to prom with you. Because people like symmetry. Well, that's true, right? Mason, put the phone away.
Busted, buddy.
So if I were to take a look at my tread tire, the tread on my tire, if I look on the inside of the tire, it's going to be the same design as the outside of the tire. Symmetrical. Asymmetric. Asymmetry means that the inside of the tire is of a different design than the outside of the tire in terms of the tread. Okay? Asymmetrical tires get mounted with a certain side on the outside of the wheel. Okay? And you can see that very clearly on the sidewall here. It says, hey, this side of the tire needs to be on the outside. Now, this is going to be more so something to pay attention to when you are actually installing the tire onto the wheel. Okay, once it's on the wheel, you can just bolt it on any way you want. It's not a big deal.
I'm back by a second.
No, just put the backpack on the ground. So that's asymmetrical tires. By the way, I hope you wrote that down. Directional tires, the tread is designed to go in a particular rotation. Okay? So as the tire is rotating, the tread is hitting the road in a very particular design, and it's not meant to go backwards. So in this case, the sidewall will actually be an indication this tire must rotate in this way. Okay, it must rotate clockwise or it must rotate counterclockwise, depending on what's the tread design. Okay, so again, asymmetrical tire has to be mounted one side on the outside. The directional tire is indicative of it's sensitive to the rotation direction of that tire. It's important that you understand the difference between symmetrical tires, which you can mount inside or outside, doesn't matter because both sides are the same. And it doesn't matter what direction they go in because it's symmetrical. They can go forward or backwards. So that's symmetrical. Asymmetrical, it's sensitive to which side is on the outside, which side's on the outside. Most often than not, your symmetrical tires, one side is going to be designed and built to get water out of the way, while the other side is really meant for traction and grip. Okay? Directional tires typically are going to be more of your snow tires or your completely wet tires. Really, really good in the rain. Okay? But again, they're sensitive to how they rotate. Okay? So symmetrical, asymmetrical, directional. I wish I had better pictures of symmetrical, asymmetrical, and directional tires, or at least the tread patterns.
That's a good picture.
All right, high pressure temporary compact spare tires, also called donuts. The reason why they're called donuts is because you would think of a normal size tire. These are much smaller. They're compact. They're lighter weight. And the reason for that is because they got to fit in your trunk. So that way if your tire that you're currently driving on gets a puncture, or somehow it's damaged to where you could no longer drive on it, you have to remove that tire. Then you have a secondary tire that you can put on in the place of that, so that way you can get to a certain destination to get your original tire fixed. Okay? And you can see here it kind of looks a little wonky on the vehicle when it's installed. These spare tires typically have an inflation of up to 60 psi. Okay? They're not going to follow the normal conventions of maximum inflation of about 44. Because they're smaller, right? We're looking at about 60 psi.
What do cops use?
What do you mean?
Most cops look like cop cars look like they have a lot.
That's just the wheel rim.
That's what I meant, bro.
But this tire is much physically smaller. Here's the deal. Here's the problem that most people don't understand. If you have a spare tire, when was the last time you checked the pressure in it?
Never.
I've never done it.
When was the last time you checked this pressure? Most people don't. They don't even necessarily know where it's located in their vehicle. Okay? But here's the problem with that scenario. Hey, I'm driving alongside the road. I get a puncture in my normal tire. I have to put the spare tire on. I put the spare tire on. It has no pressure in it. So can I drive on that spare tire?
No.
It doesn't serve me any purpose. It's no good. I'm now stuck on the side of the road.
Unless your spare tire has a spare tire.
It doesn't.
Hey, yo.
Also, before we leave here today, fun fact that most people don't necessarily take into account for their spare tires. I totally lost my train of thought. Inflation. Oh, guys, sit down. We're not done yet. I got 3 minutes. Chase, or not Chase, Easton,
Hey,
put the phone away.
it's just an auto thing in your.
Spare tires are temporary tires. They are not meant to be driven on long term. There's nothing that kind of gets me fired up when I see the same car driving around town with a spare tire on for like 3 months at a time.
They're lazy.
No, it's not so much they're lazy. They don't understand this tire does not have the same traction, temperature, and tread wear as a normal tire. It is meant literally just to get you safe, right, off of the side of the road so you're not on the highway or whatever. So that way you can come get a tow truck and get things taken care of so you can get your normal tire back on. It's not meant to be driven on long term, okay? It is very, very dangerous for you to drive on a spare tire long term. So don't do it, okay? All right, we're going to end there for today. Obviously, we'll pick this up on Monday. A reminder, please make sure your definition of a tire Google form quiz is completed before midnight tonight.
Would that be in the grade book like by midnight tonight?